Okay, I have 9 o'clock, so we will stand and have the invocation by Henry, and then followed by the flag salute.
Father in heaven, as we begin this meeting today, there are some things I pray that we will keep in mind. Number one, we know that you created this heaven and this earth, that you created us, and Lord, we know that you are still fully in charge. Lord, I pray that you will give our commissioners your guidance and your wisdom today as they make decisions with prudence and knowledge. And Lord, I pray that all of us that come here today to present ideas and with suggestions, do so in an honorable and respectful way. Lord, I offer this prayer in the name of your Son and our Savior, the Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so the first thing that's on the agenda today, was the swearing in of Mr. Kent Becker and the little reception out there, actually. Second thing is the reorganization of the board. And so with President said, it is First District's turn to chair the board. And so recognizing that, I will go ahead and make a motion to have Kent Becker be the chairman.
Second.
Okay. Second by Randy. All in favor say aye. Aye. So I was going to also say then that Randy would be, I'm going to make the motion then that Randy be the vice chair. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Reorganization of the board is complete.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to
Switch
switch all
spots.
your stuff?
Does your laptop need to stay plugged in?
I probably won't need it now, it should be charged up.
Okay, because I can plug it in if you need
They
it.
move your desk and everything, they move your drawers.
Later?
Yes, yeah,
Some of my
Yeah.
stuff here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of that ugly pen.
You gotta get rid of every pen. Want my lovely coffee cup though.
That old pen's lasted quite a while.
Yeah, you get kind of attached to it.
Yeah.
If you do need to plug in, I can
Okay.
plug in right over here.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank Diane for chairing last year. Appreciate her service. I guess the only comments I would have is I pray that as a commission we can work together this year for the betterment of the county's citizens, and that we can all do that in a kind and respectful manner. And with that, we will go ahead with the administrative business.
Okay. Sorry, I was looking for the mileage resolution, and somehow it got way at the back. Okay. We generally establish the mileage rate by resolution each year, and we were paying 54.5 cents, and the mileage rate for 2019 set by the IRS is 58 cents, and that is also what Gary will be paying, who's the other county in our judicial district. So I don't know, I left it blank, but for you to decide what the mileage rate will be, and then we can have you pass the resolution. So.
We've always sort of just accepted that national rate, so it's, that's what's been done in the past. Anybody have any questions on that?
Somebody
I
want to
I
make a
have no
motion to
questions.
accept?
I'll make the motion to accept the 58 cents per mile as set by Internal Revenue Service
Second.
for the mileage.
Okay, Diane made the motion, Randy seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, then we'll pass the resolution.
Okay. Okay, this is resolution number 2019-1, a resolution establishing the mileage rate for county business conducted in personal vehicles. This is, whereas Marion County provides county-owned vehicles to their employees when traveling for county business, and whereas the designated county-owned vehicles are not always available, an employee must drive their personal vehicle for county business, and whereas the standard mileage rate for business set by the Internal Revenue Service is currently at 58 cents per mile. Now therefore it is resolved that the mileage rate paid to county officials and county employees traveling on business in personal vehicles shall be established at 58 cents per mile, effective January 14, 2019. Someone make a motion to approve that resolution?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I
Okay,
second.
well,
Okay,
you
we
did,
approved
you
the
voted on the rate, but.
We did the rate, but not the
Okay, I'll make a
resolution.
motion to accept resolution number
2019-1.
2019-1.
Okay. Moved by Diane, seconded by Randy to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Got two different things.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have had to have a vote on just the decision on the rate, but since we had to do the resolution anyway, but we'll be thorough.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, the next thing that we generally do is the vote on the legal publisher. Last year, we set that by resolution, which is what we have typically done. You do have information on the rates that they'll be charging us. The rates will be the same. When we passed the resolution last year, we stated that we would leave it in place, or that it would be in effect until you all change it. At this time, there are no other newspapers eligible to be the legal publisher within the county. And so instead of doing the resolution again, if we could just do that by motion and vote to reconfirm that the legal publisher will continue to be Marion County Record.
They didn't give us a rate or raise or
Yeah.
anything?
No increase, it's the
Okay.
same.
Okay. I make that motion to ad hoc publishing as our county legal paper.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion by Randy, seconded by Ann to retain Hope Publishing as the county paper of record. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 13.
$13 per column inch.
At the reorganizational meeting each year, we traditionally make a motion to deposit county funds in all financial institutions located within the county that are authorized by law.
Okay, as been in the past, any discussion on that?
No, just as long as we look at all of the banks, and try doing business with all.
And the way we do the working bank is those rotate. There are 3 that we use and they rotate each year. And so the bank for the payday processing, like your bills this year, is Marion National.
I'd make a motion to go with our local banks for our, what would you say, the
Deposit county funds.
deposit county funds in, yeah.
Okay, Randy's made a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay. Generally at this first meeting, you kind of review your outside boards, and you do have a paper copy of those. I believe that was also in your packet. I know some of these, the term doesn't end at the same time that you reorganize. I think CDDO, they have a different schedule. Didn't know if there are any that you want to switch around, or,
Well, I was on the mid-cap, and I went to that, or I participated in that either by going to the meetings or by phone conference. And I was also on the North Juvenile Detention, and the Judicial, and then other ones that I took on the outside. I did resign from mid-cap. It's just become too overwhelming to make that trip down. I just did it effective the end of December, that I would no longer be able to serve on that board.
Is that the one that's in Augusta?
Yes, yes,
You did say you called in.
yes,
And tended that way too?
yes. They do have that option, which is beautiful,
Yeah.
because yikes, that's a trip and a half, and I did it for the year, and
What, once a month done?
once every month. Mhm.
were you on SCED also?
I was on SCED also, but I was not the county, I was the at-large. On SCED, I did that on my own. I also resigned from SCED again because of the travel involved on that, and we do have an actual official county representative. I did it to educate myself a little bit on grants and monies that are available, and how allow that process done. And in my courses, by being a part of that, I did learn a lot from that. But being that we have a county representative for that, I chose then also to take that off of my list.
So Randy Collett, do you know, has he agreed to continue that?
Well, I didn't ask him, but he is still on that board, yes. I didn't ask him if he was gonna continue, but,
I mean, I would be willing to take the at-large or whatever, if he's willing to continue.
oh.
I guess we need to find that out from
Okay.
him.
Mhm. So on the North Juvenile Detention, which I'm on, I would certainly be pleased to continue with that one. Also my 8th Judicial. There is one, and that is the Mental Health Advisory Committee. I would love to be on that board, and as I look back into the minutes of last year, somehow I was scheduled to be on that committee, and I blew it off, I guess, because I didn't know. So I never did, but I've always wanted to. Isn't that the craziest? So,
I'm just wondering, on some of these committees, do they ever email out prior, we're gonna have a meeting on such and such a date?
Some of them do, and then some of them have set schedules already.
Yeah, I know that, and then. you
Just
put-
as a
you
reminder.
put it, it'd be nice, because, like the RAPs, I was serving on RAPs, but I never ever got noticed if they were having a meeting. So I don't know whether they did or not.
yeah, they did. Now, I did also go to most all the RAPS meetings, but I did that representing Novak Farms, not the county. And so I was at all the RAPS meetings, I think, but 2. But again, like I said, I was not a county representative.
So would you want to handle the RAPs?
I
then?
can handle the RAPs,
If you're
yes.
gonna Be there?
I can, yeah, because I do oftentimes go when Kelly can't. So, yeah, I'd be happy to take the RAPs.
Dan, did you see MidCap doing anything in our county?
No. No. They do a lot of things for your low-income people.
Right.
And, I mean, remarkably wonderful programs. But, yeah, they have not, other than the housing and things in Hillsborough that they've done years
Yes.
ago.
Yes.
And, but no, I have not.
I would pick that one up if you don't want it, Kent. The
Which one's that?
Mid-cap that she was talking about, that she was not.
That would be
Where
fine.
is in Augusta,
Yeah.
and I'll get some information from you, Diane, on exactly, do you know where exactly the meeting's held?
I do,
Okay.
I'll get you all that information,
Okay.
yes.
The SCED meeting, okay, it's out there at that Bel Air office.
Yes, it
I think
is.
I know where
Yes,
that's
it's
at.
at Bel Air, correct. And they had terrible road construction down there this last 6 months, so I mean, you have to really take a big circle around. Hopefully that's pretty cleared up right now.
Okay, and Randy, you were on CDDO.
Yeah.
And then the Central Kansas Regional Solid Waste.
Yeah. If somebody wants a solid waste for that, that's fine. It's a quarterly meeting usually, and Bud usually gets a hold of you when they're gonna have it.
And you can do that one by phone too. It's a conference
Yes,
call a lot of the
yes, you
time,
can,
isn't it?
yes.
You said that's quarterly?
Yeah, sometimes more, but it's quarterly.
Well, if you're gonna take that mid cap, do you want me to take that?
That'd be fine.
I mean, I
Fine.
could do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. That'd be fine.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I think I
Yeah,
have.
right.
Mid-cap would be Randy. Solid waste would be Kent. Juvenile detention would still be Diane. Randy, CDDO, would you would stay on that?
Yeah.
And then Diane on mental health advisory, Kent on SCED, and Diane on REPS. Does that sound correct?
Mhm, mhm.
I would say maybe at the end of the year, maybe we have the other two commissioners in place, and maybe the Gossel District and Hillsborough District over there might want to take maybe the CDDO and give them a
Yeah.
chance or something like that to do that.
Okay, did you want to do a motion and a vote to accept the new board appointments as discussed?
Okay, someone wanna make a motion to accept those assignments?
So, or did you? I thought you were gonna make it.
I asked if there was a
Oh.
motion. I can make the motion.
Go ahead.
And I will make the motion to accept the assignments for the coming year.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have the minutes of January 7.
Okay, I think you all had a chance to review the minutes of January 7th. Any additions or corrections?
The only thing that I would ask is on the appraiser, when she came in to give her report, she did spend a rather lengthy period of time presenting to us about people who paid their taxes in protest, and I noticed that there is no mention of it in the minutes. And I'm just wondering if maybe it should even just be mentioned, because it was
Okay,
discussed in
I have gone to the previous action of the board where you all said only official actions, and
Mhm.
so that's where that came from.
Oh, I
If you
see.
all decide that you want to add something, that's
Okay,
fine.
well-
But Park talked about,
Okay, well, okay, that's
Things
fine, if
too,
we're gonna do that,
so-
then I didn't know that that's what you were doing. But I noticed then there's several other things on the minutes that are mentioned that we did not take action on. So I'm just wondering which way it's gonna be.
okay, you all just tell me what you would like on them. For this particular one, I will adjust them however.
Well, I personally like it, if it's only gonna be action, then it should be action consistently.
Okay,
That's
the
fine.
last, here, let me tell you the wording of what you all said the last time. You all made a decision on that. So the way that it was worded is include only official actions and topics of extended discussion that may require future board action. So,
Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the January minutes as presented.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
I didn't read it under those conditions. I'll have to go back and reread it. Okay.
and as you move forward as the board for the new year, if you change your mind on what you want to see in the minutes, you know, that can be done. I do have 2 early checks.
Okay, we have one here for, I guess it's what, reception expenses,
Yep, that's for this morning.
$72. And
And the other one is for the Park and Lake to remit the sales tax they collected for the 4th quarter.
okay, retail sales tax,
Yes.
County Lake, $20.43.
And that due date is before our payday, so.
Okay. We need to take official action to approve those. Okay.
Do you have that little folded piece of paper that you have with that wording on that? For the minutes? Did you keep it down here? Thank you.
We do have some change orders. Do you need a copy of that, or?
Well, yes, but I think even the way it's written, I'm just gonna mention it too, even the way it's written, I think that particular subject matter will be a topic of the future. We will be discussing that again, so. But I'll let it go at this point, but I wanna make mention that it will be discussed again, so you're probably qualified to be in the minutes.
We've got quite a few of them here, so I guess I'll divide them up. Full file of them in there. A lot of several minerals.
Yeah.
We see a lot more of that when oil prices are low.
With the change, yeah.
done.
Thank you. That's yours.
Nope.
While you're in signing mode, I have a couple of thank you cards for some folks that gave you some Christmas goodies. This one got missed, I think.
Okay, we have a thank you card from for Happy Hustlers 4-H Club. They brought us cookies yesterday. Thank you to them.
We need to sign them.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you could all sign them, that'd be great.
And to Mr. Blair.
Yeah, that's Cook Flat Strobel. They gave you a big plate of goodies that you
Okay.
Yeah.
enjoyed at one of your meetings. That's, you guys call them now CFS engineers.
Oh, CFS.
Yeah, they used to go by Cook Flat Strobel.
Kent, I think you forgot to sign this one. This one's complete.
Thank you. Okay, in your packet, you had information about a donation that was received for the statue out at the Park and Lake for continuing maintenance on it. Also, you have the recycling and tonnage reports in your packet for information.
Like the commission's note on those, that none of the truck expense, none of the yearly expense is put on those reports. It's just immediate expense on that's what he's showing there. Fuel and stuff like that.
Good service, but it'd be nice to see it be profitable.
Yes, I mean, even just stay close.
Yeah.
That's all we care. Just stay close. It's good service.
Okay, last week you all discussed a proclamation about School Choice Week. And so I have prepared that if you would like to adopt that proclamation. We did do this one other time, I think it was in 2016 or 17. So that was in your packet.
Okay. This is a proclamation commemorating Marion County School Choice Week, and it reads, whereas all children in Marion County should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas Marion County recognizes the important role that effective education plays in preparing all students to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of Marion County, and whereas Marion County is home to high-quality traditional public and non-public schools and other types of educational programming which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in their home, and whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community, and whereas Marion County has many high-quality teaching professionals who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective public options. Now therefore, the Board of Marion County Commissioners, on behalf of its citizens, does hereby proclaim January 20th to the 26th, 2019 as School Choice Week in Marion County.
So that would be, if you decide to adopt that proclamation, that's by a motion and a vote.
Okay?
make that motion to adopt that proclamation.
Second.
Okay, motion by Randy, second by Diane to accept the proclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Everybody noticed that California's teachers are walking out this morning? And there's other states planning on doing some of the same, way it sounds.
Thank you. The last thing that I have is, for the past several years, we have utilized a company called Central Brochure Distribution. And what they do is they take the Marion County Visitors Guide, and they place it in different rest areas throughout the state, especially the visitor centers on the borders, and that promotes Marion County. And the cost to have that done is $1,000 a year. And so I just wanted to see if you're in support of continuing that contract for 2019.
What was the cost?
It's $1,000 for the year.
And you say we've utilized that for a number of years?
Yes.
Has the cost gone up or stayed the same?
It was this is the same as what we paid last year. I didn't go back and research how much it has been in prior years.
What's the thought of the commission? Is that a valuable service or?
I know it seems to be used, but I think more importantly for us to take a look at here within the next few meetings maybe is sometime within reasonable time is where some of this advertising stuff from Marion County is going, since we're losing the Economic Development Committee. And you know, there's been some local people, I think Randy Collins come in and asked for something not too long, I don't remember, 6 months ago to 8 months ago. But some of that stuff probably needs to be revisited see whether, you know, I think this is one of how many you think probably, there's other ones probably too that the Economic Development Committee has done, or Teresa did, stuff like that for us, so.
Well, there were several countywide ads, but this isn't for the ad itself. This is just because the Visitor's Guide is done every year by the Free Press, and so they publish it. This is just for us to have that, because we get it here and we distribute it out a little bit locally, but this just puts it out across the state and puts it in some of those other locations. So the guy comes and picks up boxes of them and takes them out. But we do have the travel guide ads. Those are the ones that we did last year out of transient guest money. And those are the ones where businesses they pay part, and the county has traditionally paid part through those transient guest funds. And that's the one that Randy Collett and the committee assisted with this year to get those listings done. So there's one. And then there's another one that just, the company just contacted me about a full page ad, and I contacted both of the paid economic developers in the county to see if that's something that they think is beneficial for the county. And if so, you know, how do we work on that to get that done? But we did not advertise in that particular publication last year. So, but there are several of them.
And I think that even though we're using the Economic Development Board to say, I think we still need to a point, advertise and promote our county.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
This is just a distribution service.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would from the reports that I had, you know, which was just word of mouth from a few people, was that it was a service that, you know, people were picking up the brochures.
You have a question, Dad?
Well, I was gonna say, I thought the state, the tourism, that they do services like that. Because when I was in Colby, Lonnie Thomas was on that committee, the tourism committee, and I thought they distributed like those sorts of things through state money.
I have never heard that. I mean, even when we had an economic development department here, we were utilizing this service for those brochures, so.
We need a motion on
Not necessarily, because it's $1,000. It would be great if you decide to make a motion, but if you agree, it's fine.
Unless we have a citizen that wants to do that for somewhat less than that. Patty, what do you like? It is a way of getting this information out, especially on those stops that come in off the interstates, I know, out of state and that sort of thing. It's nice to have your stuff in there with everybody else's.
Okay.
I think we should go with it myself.
I'm good with it.
I mean, I don't mind reviewing it, then which ones, pick and choose which ones we really want to in the future, but I don't think we should stop right now.
So have one wants to review it, one's ready to go ahead with it.
Yeah, well, no, I said at a later time review it. I say go along with it
Go
now,
along,
yes.
okay.
This is
Yeah.
just for the current year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd make a motion to go with it for 2019.
I don't think we have to do
She said we don't
But
make a motion.
you don't have to, but
it.
if you
Okay,
do, it's
if you'd
fine.
like to do it, that'd be
Yeah.
fine. Have a motion by Randy to accept the publication distribution.
Well, then I'll second it.
Okay, second by Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, that was, sorry, I know it's over, but that's what I have for administrative.
Okay.
And then, next,
Ready to move on?
yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is the bid opening for audit proposals. I do believe we have several of those.
Good deal.
Okay.
Now, the way that the RFP was written, they're open today. There's a review period of a week that's where we can get clarification if you'd like. If you want to have any of those firms come in for an interview or anything like that, we can do that before you make a decision.
Now, after we open these up today, did everybody send, I think I read something in the RFP that there was 5 copies to be sent out. Is that correct?
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
So do you know if you received 5 copies?
I didn't open anything because you all wanted to open them here, so I don't know what's in.
Okay, the first one we have is from Adams, Brown, Barron, and Ball, Certified Public Accountants. A lot of envelopes to open.
Where are they out of? Great Bay.
They have an office in Hillsborough also.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
Right, there's a few copies in here. Proposal, okay. Letter. Maybe this is on the back.
Yes, it does, it did ask for
Okay.
5 copies, so.
Thank you.
This is a bid for a 3-year period, which would be as of December 31, 18, 19, and 20. So their proposal, based on the 2018 audit, $32,500. And then it also adds, that's an audit fee, and then it adds a single audit fee per major program. Is
So-
that in addition?
Okay, so if, most of the time, a single audit is not required. That is if we have a program that receives a certain amount of federal funding. And so we haven't had to have a single audit in a long time. So when we did the RFP, we did ask them to list out what their single audit fees would be, because that's always an additional fee.
So we're going off of the audit fee itself?
Yes.
Okay, 32.5. See if I can keep all that together.
Okay, so one of
And there
those would be
is-
for each of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've got 5 copies.
Right, then I'll take the other two.
Okay. I'll try to keep the pile in order here. If that's. This proposals from Varney and Associates, Manhattan. Okay, Varney and Associates, also a 3-year bid, with the 2018 bid being $26,500. Now, since these are a 3-year bid, do we want to, are we gonna base this just off of 2018 or a combination of the 3 years total price?
I think you would probably look at your total, 3 years total.
Okay, so did I give you
There was,
Adams,
no,
3 years?
No.
back there.
We should go back and I'll give you those other 2.
Right here.
Okay. The other 2 years on
Yeah.
Adams, Brown and Ball was a 32,500 for 2018, 30,900 for 19, and 31,830 for 2020.
Okay.
I said put them all on the front page. Okay, Varney and Associates was 26,500 for 18, 27,500 for 2019, and 28,500 for 2020. This one is from St. Gordon and Associates LLP, Manhattan. Station 9 and 10. Okay. Their proposals are for 2018, 35,000, 2019, 36,250, and 2020, 37,500. Okay, this one is from Berberich, Trahan and Company, PA, out of Topeka. Okay, their proposal, for 2018, 30,000, 2019, 31,500, 2020, 33,000. Trying to make it challenging here. There's an easier way to do it.
FedEx don't want to get the phone.
All right, you know, they did.
It is my fault.
Okay. This one is from BKD CPAs and Advisors from Wichita. Okay. 2018, 32,950. 2019, 34,275. And 2020, 35,650.
Okay, and for your reference, Swindle, Jansen, Huck and Lloyd, I think somebody had asked what their contract was proposed at. It was 42,000, 44,000, and 46,000.
Okay.
42,000 and what?
42, 44, and 46.
Okay.
Okay, so can we get a grand total on?
Do you want those today, or do you want like a summary sheet next week with the grand totals and then give you some time to look at the proposals?
I'd like to read the proposals, I'd like some time.
Randy?
Yeah, I'd wait till next week.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll table that till next week.
Okay.
Question I have, does any commissioner here have any ties with any of these firms?
I have no ties with any of them,
Okay.
none. Never have.
Okay. Thank you.
Ready to move on? Road and Bridge, Jesse? Jesse available? Jesse?
Transport fuel bids. Pass that one down.
Just 3 copies for, or
Yeah,
just?
yeah, for you 3.
Fresh off the press.
Okay, is this a total or?
This is the total.
Total, okay. Okay, we've got a bid here, Cooperative Grain and Supply for 17,902. One from F Service, 18,039.80.
And you had an Agri-Trails in
Is there another
there,
one?
stuck
Oh,
together.
okay.
Yep.
Stuck. Agricultural Co-op, $17,921, so looks like the low bid is Cooperative Grain and Supply. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve their bid of $17,902.
Second.
Seconded by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Anything else, Jesse?
Yeah, I have 2 salary changes for James Olson and Jesse Smith.
Salary change orders for James Olson from $35.39 to $3,044. Change from road supervisor to equipment operator 3. And for Jesse Smith, change from bridge and culvert supervisor to equipment operator 3, $35.39 to $29.90.
Tina, can I ask one of the ladies to take these bids downstairs real quick? Sorry, excuse me.
So I wanted to ask Jesse a question and he left.
Come
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so Jesse, before I sign these, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And since you're taking these 2 gentlemen from the supervisory positions and putting them in operator number 3 positions, I just want to ask you, are you sure that this is what you want to do? I mean, are you sure that the qualifications and so on meet operator number 3?
I mean, yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, I have their certifications. Well, one of them has a degree in 9-month schooling there in Beloit. The other one has certifications through some of the courses we've done. So,
So
I-
the answer is yes,
yes,
that they
the
are
answer is-
fully qualified for operator 3.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I was asking that question because we have, and I know we're gonna do the pay plan before too awful long, but I know there's a lot of people that have been, or several people that have been working with the county for a very long time,
Yes, ma'am.
that also feel qualified, and I don't know.
And that's why I think that pay plan could help a lot of departments out with adjustments down the future.
I see. I just wanted to make sure that you were sure that you're prepared.
Yep. Yes,
That
ma'am.
you're prepared, okay.
With just reporting in on the snow this weekend, we wet heavy snow. We did more than usual damage to mailboxes, so we will be getting a lot of them replaced, probably 5 to 7 mailboxes and 1 or 2 road signs that we had hit damaged. With that wet heavy snow, it just tore things up a little bit, so I just wanted to report that. We got most of them reported in and know which ones they are, so we're already addressing them today. So as far as the paved roads go, we almost had them clear on the paved roads at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, 8 to 9-ish. And then late morning, early afternoon, the snow was blowing in. We were chasing our tail on drift. A couple guys finally ended at 10 Saturday night. We were out around 3 o'clock on Saturday morning and went to about 10 o'clock Saturday night. Sunday we were all up at 6:30, some at 4:30, hitting all the east-west roads and hitting drift. So just kind of reporting what's going on. We got a long week to get prepared for more rain and more snow this weekend is what they're calling for. So trying to get what we can. The best thing we can do is try to go out very early in the mornings this whole week to try to take advantage of the freezing and try to get some of the ruts knocked down, some more snow winged back to prepare us for this weekend's weather coming possibly. So I just wanted to report what happened this weekend. So The last thing I have was a question for you three in regards to the wind farm up north. I've had concern of one in particular, a gentleman a half mile from the laydown yard. Talked to the wind farm and would like to maybe see some reclaimed rock. But his road, his half mile stretch that he lives on is not on the haul route. They said they would like to help the gentleman, but the road that he lives on is not on the haul route. Kent also called me and asked me if I could look into it. I checked with Brian Fry, the inspector on the project. He said, no, they haven't been doing that. Maybe it's something we could look into. I did talk to Kirkham Michael and asked what our options are of people mile or half mile away from that if they are requesting some reclaimed rock. So he has sent an email off to the wind farms. I guess the question is that, you know, I'm not looking at people, you know, 5 to 10 miles away wherever they're reclaiming this rock from to have them haul it there. But if we're talking a mile or two or less, didn't know what you three had thought about trying to help some of these people out if they are wanting it. And that's, I just made the initial contact with Kirkham Michael, inspector and engineer, and they're asking them, so I just kind of, before we go any further, I wanted to talk to you three.
You say this gentleman lives within a half a mile of the laydown yard?
He's just to the south, a half a mile of the laydown yard, and then back to the east a half a mile. So he's a half a mile from the haul route road, but 1 full mile from the laydown yard entrance.
So he has been impacted by this project?
I would say so, probably with pickups nonstop going by his place, you know, pickups could take these roads, yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I address this, because I know who he's talking about, and that is Jonas France,
Yes,
is who
ma'am.
you're speaking about.
Yes, ma'am.
And yes, I got an email from him and a phone call,
Okay.
and yes, he did tell me that he also spoke with Mr. Becker. And he is very unhappy for several things, for not getting rock. And I didn't even know he wanted any rock, or was even asking for rock from the reclaimed rock. But in the email that he wrote me, this is what he asked me to present to the commission. So I'm going to read it as he asked it on the email. He said, since the wind tower company is willing to provide rock for area people, we would appreciate it if you would, along with other commissioners, rescind the order disallowing them to drive county roads under the threat of fines. If you're not willing to allow rock trucks to be used on the roads, I'm sure there are people in the area who would appreciate the rock placed on their property just to be used as needed. And so that's what she was asking me. This is Kim, but it was from her and Jonas. They want some rock, whether they need it on their road or not, so that they can have it placed on their property to use it how they wish. And yes, I did also talk to Brian after I learned that he was wanting some rock. Brian told me that he was impacted a little bit throughout the project with some power outages, and that he is not a recipient of the wind towers, nor is he on the haul route, because the haul route stops before you get to his place. But he was impacted. So Brian did tell me, and I asked Brian if he would talk to Jonas, because he's pretty hot.
Okay.
And he said he would talk to him. And I told him that I have no idea, but I did tell him that I had talked to Brian, and Brian would be in contact with him. So, and I'm glad to hear that you're also following up, and I don't know what we can do. I'm certainly not in favor of, at this point in the game, going back and redoing our road maintenance agreement, which is what that would entail, which is what he's asking us to do. But I told him what I would tell them, and so this was read right from their mouth as to what they're asking.
How many other people would be,
That's the only thing.
I mean,
Yipper.
how could we possibly, I mean, I understand they've been affected. Once we go somewhere, then the next person a mile down the road?
I think there'll be a number of people within, like Jesse said, a mile or two that might request that reclaimed rock or something along that line, and of course, I guess, you know, with our blessing, the wind farm would be more than willing to haul it, which would be a great thing for those locals that are close. I wouldn't be in favor of rewriting the road maintenance agreement, but I don't know if there's, you know, if we could come up with some type of a
Well, as far as,
different agreement to
like
address
some of
that.
the intersections, we had talked earlier about intersections, keeping some wider and stuff. And they had asked for written permission on each intersection that someone would request keeping it wide. And I would write up a written permission for that certain intersection to stay within our, it could be wider, but it needs to stay within our right of way. We do not want to acquire more property. I'm just wondering if a situation like that, as long as they seen something in writing from us and Kirk and Michael, they were okay with doing that. Now, I know that was on the haul route itself, but I'm wondering if something like that, if someone had asked some kind of written permission on a mile away, but you know, then we're gonna start having people 5 miles away, or 7 miles.
And
I
then
don't know.
Would we prioritize it? Would we give the people who are on the haul routes first opportunity, and then if there's some people that after that, because would you want to give it to those not before you give to those?
I was kind
I'm
of-
just
yeah,
wondering,
I don't-
I'm asking.
I think anyone that's been impacted by that, you know, and there's quite a few people that aren't within the wind farm, but live within a mile or two, and they've been impacted by it just because of
I think
the
everyone's
pickup traffic, if
Yeah, I was
nothing
gonna
else.
agree with what you said. Everybody's been
I
impacted
think
up there.
everyone's kind of been impacted in some sort of way, whether they got to hear noise or see more pickups.
The dust, the
Dust.
traffic,
I just,
road breakdowns.
you know, I just have a feeling we're already having this call now, concern what more is to come, and that's why I think we need to come up with a plan.
Do you know,
And I know we have an email right now from Kirk and Miles sent to the wind farm asking this question, what their thoughts are. So I don't know, maybe if we wait for the reply back from them on that before we go and make decisions, or
Do you know if this wind farm's looking at 100 loads, 200 loads, 300 loads?
I
Do we know anything on that?
I have a feeling we're gonna see quite a bit, when that laydown yard gets hauled, you know, gets dismantled.
Mhm.
Right now, I don't think there's an overabundance right now, but, I think that laydown yard there's going to be, that's kind of what I was banking on a little bit ourselves, but it's hard to tell right now. Depends on how many requests they're getting from people that are in the haul routes, you know, requesting some. I know the city of Tampa asked for some and that's the thing that's kind of, they're willing to help out the city of Tampa haul to their alleys, and they've already agreed to help, and I've already given my blessing. We kind of have a similar situation where actually Jonas is half mile, or actually closer than the city of Tampa, so, you know, Kirk and Michael and Nell, everyone asked me about the city of Tampa for their alleys, and
And
I
would-
thought that was appropriate.
Would 3 loads for this situation be any good, or?
That I don't know, that no one's really ever talked about tonnage or how many,
Yeah.
what they.
Well, I just think there's going to be more than Mr. Franz
Yeah.
that's going to request some up in there.
Yeah. And I didn't know whether you put a limit on it, if you put a list in, or whether that's an idea, 3 loads per request like this, or something. I don't
Like
know.
Jesse said, that we had no idea how much this is gonna end up being.
Yeah.
And I'm almost under the impression, by talking to Brian, that we're pretty close with what they're doing now to the limit of what is available to be given away. That we have to wait to see what they are willing to give away. That's the last word that that's why I asked him, would you go talk to Jonas? You know the facts, you go talk to him.
And I would agree with that comment.
Yeah, I think we're close to the end of the giveaways, but I don't know.
Except, yeah.
I'd be more willing to work with them to let them haul him some as far as that goes, but I think you're gonna have more than just him, and that's fine if you wanna bring them to us.
So I want to clarify, so you're saying then that it is okay for because we didn't allow the trucks before to go on
Yes,
roads
correct.
other than the haul routes. So by doing what you're saying, then we're gonna go ahead and break that and allow them to do that? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Becker?
Well, I think we're talking about a case-by-case basis, and like we said, we're gonna have some individuals that aren't in the haul route, but are within a mile or two of the project, and they've been impacted too, and I'd hate to not tell them they couldn't have a load or two if it's right there and it's available. And maybe some of them will even wanna haul it themselves, I don't know, but I'm guessing if the wind farm's more than willing to haul it, they just do it.
Well, I think we need to get some more information from the wind farm before we make a
Yeah.
decision.
Well, have you heard back from Kirk and Michael?
No, that email went this morning
Okay.
to them, so
Okay,
hopefully
Okay.
we hear a reply this week sometime.
all right, very good.
I guess we'd be interested in working with them if we could
Yeah.
find a fair way for everybody to.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it'll be fair to
Exactly.
everyone.
And that's why I say I think we need more facts before we can make a decision. That's good. And then we can ponder on it a little longer.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you,
See if
Justin.
See if you can get some pry into them for us to make a decision maybe next week.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, next week is fine, or
Okay.
whenever he hears, whatever.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, is Randy Frank available? Emergency Management Quarterly Update.
He's there, I think.
Good morning.
Morning, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. Making my way through here.
Okay, Randy, you have your quarterly update for us?
Congratulations on your swearing in or being sworn at, whichever it was. In the last quarter, we completed the 3-year training and exercise plan. And that plan is designed on the skill, the exercises we're going to do, the type of exercises, and what training is going to take to put the responders more applicable to do what they need to do in the exercises. So we completed that plan. In the last quarter, we facilitated anhydrous ammonia and chlorine response training for the fire departments, and let's see, we completed a full-scale exercise with ADL and RES, the wind turbine people, in the last quarter. It went very well.
Stop right there for a second. When you say complete scale, what?
A full-scale exercise?
Yeah, what did you do? Rescue and what
Yeah,
else?
actually, this was a high-angle rescue is what we did with 2 injuries. It was originally, they wanted to bring in a helicopter, but then, of course, Mother Nature wasn't very pleasant that day, so we didn't. She didn't help us out. So, but we did a high-angle rescue and then some other injuries at the bottom, which involved,
Thank you.
yeah, which involves stopping all construction on the entire site, all the way across the county, stopped all construction, and which gave all the roads opened up. Their plan, obviously, they've moved on to other sites now, but their execution plan was stop everything, and they would put key members at certain corners so that the ambulance responders knew which corners to turn at. So we did that. Completed, of course, our LAPC meetings.
Randy, do we have anyone do we have people then that are training for this high?
They do their own.
Well, I was wondering.
They have them on staff. They're here every day.
So we're backing up and providing the support for that.
So anything
Transportation, whatever.
Exactly. For any accidents that might have happened. And this person was actually inside the tower, and they actually brought him down on a rope and a backboard, brought him down and did it that way. It was impressive. They did a very good job. Let's see, working with Pipeline Association, went to their training class over in Hutchinson this time. It was in Hutchinson. Very good training. And we've been working with the state on the presumption of what they expect next year to be. Well, actually this year, we're into this year. This year's fire season, what that's going to look like. They expect it to be a higher wildland fire, just because not enough's been burned off. And a lot of farmers didn't burn last year because of the drought that we were in. And speaking of that, we're out of the drought now. They sent out a message last week saying we're out of the drought. But that could change again next week, so we'll wait for that. So a lot of farmers didn't burn for that reason, so we have a lot of extra fuel out there right now. And there's just not a lot of moisture. We'll see what the next snow brings us when that shows up. We've created, the emergency responders use a program called Active 911. It's on their telephone, so they get messages to deploy for fires and whatever else. We created an extra one just recently for the storm spotters as we're preparing for that season. And so I identified those. We should have another meeting, I think it's next month, on each of the fire departments are going out and to identify specific places they think is best to set and watch for storms. Typically storms come to our county from the southwest and go northeast. If they come from another direction, it's usually not a good storm. They usually get more violent that way. So we're doing that. Next quarter, I'll be working on the emergency operations plan and the hazard mitigation plan. Both have to be recertified this year through FEMA. So I'm working on those right now. The debris management plan, working on that as well. March 7th, we'll be putting on a G402 class, which is for senior and elected officials. We're going to hold it over in Hillsborough. Let's say March 7th. That'll be over there. And then on April 1st, we will be doing a tabletop exercise at the city of Hillsborough. Conducting that in reference, and then of course the annual storm spotter class will be coming up as well, and that'll be held here in Marion this year. That's, I believe, is on March 13th. The annual integrated weather morning routine meeting is January 22nd, and that'll only happen if the government gets back on track and comes working again. Because they're all federal employees, the National Weather Service. So, well, we'll see what happens with that. That's on hold. And then we'll be doing a regional tabletop for LEPC members that the state is putting on in all 7 different regions, and we'll be participating in that for the LEPC. FEMA has changed directions once again. Go figure. But when it comes to FEMA projects after storms or man-made events, now they want us to show us specifically how this particular disaster put us into a bad spot. Not just because we lost 1 or 2 roads or a culvert or something like that. How it really was a hardship for us. They want to know that. And they're also looking at how fast we do disaster declarations, as opposed to, because sometimes it takes Jesse 2 or 3 weeks before you get out to actually see something because he can't get there yet. So we're looking at that, and I visited with Jesse. We've had some conversations about this. I'd like to introduce a resolution for you to consider. The resolution, in a nutshell, is basically allowing whoever the senior commissioner is at the time, that he or she can do a verbal declaration, and then when you come to your next meeting, we do the written declaration. Whoever that is. So that way we get FEMA moving a little faster, state resources come here a little bit faster, because they won't move until we have a declaration.
Oh, we've done that, right?
No. We the one thing we did is the resolution allowed me, I think it was $20,000 to spend before coming in here and asking for more during the declaration.
I thought you was able to contact the county or the chairperson and have them on site and do this already.
If you've already got it in place, I don't remember.
I thought we did it back when I was here.
And I know one time we did it as a conference call. Tina set up a conference call for us, and we did one that way.
I can look back. I mean, this doesn't have to be done today, so we can
No.
look back
We can make copies
and
of
make
that.
sure. Yeah, I can give everyone a copy too. Yeah, that'd be good.
Whatever you find.
Thank you, Randy.
Quick, I have a question for you. On the telephone dispatching, is that happening?
The dispatching.
Your system you just mentioned for,
Oh, the active 911?
yeah, Active 911, is that where it goes to our to the fireman's telephones?
Yes, it goes to their phones.
Within a reasonable rate?
I don't know, because I don't get them when the firemen get them. I don't know.
You know?
No, because I usually get a phone call.
Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying,
Yeah, I usually get a phone call.
I just-
But I don't know how long it takes from there to the phone.
yeah. We'll ask Rob when
I
he gets in here.
haven't tested one.
We'll ask Rob when he gets in here, but I'm still in this discussion.
Okay.
That it's not very clear.
That I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
So I have a question for you,
Yes,
Randy,
ma'am.
if I may. And you know, I've attended several classes and it's kind of near and dear to me, and I know this is something that nobody wants to talk about, but active shooter training for the schools and things like that, to where senior citizens or wherever, where people would be vulnerable to these type of situations in the world that we're in today. And I know that you had told me that there are a lot of agencies out there doing that, and I know that's true. And I'm just wondering if you're kind of monitoring those, or if there's a way that we can be aware for people who just want to join or whatever, or if there's a way that, I mean, I'd like to participate personally in some of them locally. I have around us, but not in Marion County. So I was just wondering where you're at on that. I know you know the agencies.
I know that the training has happened here in Marion County. I believe it's through Sheriff, City of Marion, and City of Hillsborough. They have teamed up. They've got trainers that do that. I think I'm not sure, but I think they've got all the schools done. They were working on that last year. Rob would be able to tell you for sure, because
Okay.
he was one of the trainers.
All right,
So he'd
great,
be able to tell you for
great.
sure. But I do know that it is happening.
Okay, that's all I
know
need
that.
to know. I just want to
Yeah.
check on that. Okay, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Trainer?
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
See you in an hour.
Yeah. Or so.
Excuse me.
Rob, you're.
Rob, you're here.
Okay.
Sorry. Put you through. I'm going to the trash. You want to take your, oh, okay.
Good to see you back again, Rob.
And you're all still here safe and sound.
Yep.
Okay, well, the quarterly report. Thought I'd just go over some of the things we talked about in November. The new transport van is in place. It was purchased and it's operational now. The old one has been taken away by K-Camp Insurance, and where it went, I don't know. But it's gone.
What's going?
The old transport van that was wrecked last year,
Oh,
and the new one's in place and it's operational, and so we're back in business. Still waiting on a check, as far as I know, from the insurance for the van, so we put that back into the fund that we used to buy the new replacement van.
I believe we got the check.
Did you get it? Okay.
Just recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that has been received in, and we should be all cleared up with that.
Seem to remember seeing something come through.
Okay, I hadn't seen that one, so very good. Talked about new car videos and stuff last year, and in November, and using some of that deal money, because a lot of that stuff went over into and it's all in place, operational. County attorney is very pleased with it. It does good video, does good quality video, the body cams and the vehicle.
how about to have that? Did you get that fixed yet?
The what?
heating?
That's next on the list.
Oh.
The HVAC system, it's in process. They have been there off and on for probably 2 or 3 weeks, working on some projects or some things. And I want to clarify, the HVAC units are not the issue. It's the controlling of those units that is the issue. So there's some misconception about the units going bad, and no, they're not necessarily bad. They're just the way they're controlled and operational. The old control system was from a different company that we could not access easily when we needed to make any changes or get anything repaired. So it's in process. There's most of it is better. The cooling and heating so far just the heating. I haven't tried the cooling, but the heating is much more even. Much better. I don't have an air conditioner kicking on in the middle of the afternoon right after the heater. It's far better off there. At this point, it seems to be. And I hope to have that finished up in the next couple of weeks. I know there was a couple fan belts and things that they were changing, and a bearing that was discovered bad, so we were changing those too.
You perceive that that's going to be some cost savings on the monthly billing?
I would believe so, since I'm not running heating and air conditioning in the same day, within minutes of each other. It allows us to set a more even temperature throughout the building, so that one room's not fighting the other room. And I think we're better off. The biggest thing is if we have to have maintenance done, we can get it done quickly now versus waiting however many days sometimes until we get a hold of the company, like their Kansas City, wherever it was, to get something opened up so KVK could get in there and work on it. The jail hard drive, that's in place. Pretty much everything we talked about in November has been accomplished, except for the HVAC is still in process. Hopefully the next week or two, that will be completely finished. Other than that, there hasn't been a lot of new things. Just tried to get through the end of the year and without any major catastrophes and keep everything operational. One thing I do have is the state of Kansas has enacted a new mandate that we notify you annually at the end of the year, beginning of the year, of asset forfeitures that we've received throughout the year. So I said I'm supposed to report, so I kind of made up a form to report. Actually, this is 2019 and 2020 when this is officially in effect, but we're going to start it now. I just kind of gave a report that this is what we received in 18 as far as asset forfeitures. This is an asset forfeiture from a drug case, which was a vehicle and some cash. Those will be put in. We're going to have to, by the statute, we're going to have a separate fund for these that every end of the year, again, I'll give you an accounting of that. So we're going to create one in the bank and put those monies in there. I'll give you an expenditure and receipts along with this next year when I get that made.
Do we ever have auctions, like when you have vehicles or jewelry or whatever it is you seize?
We haven't. I would like to do that. I have to get, and we're in the process of trying to get some court documents that we can dispose of a lot of this, because our evidence room is busting out the seams.
I know other counties do.
And we have to get a court documents to grant the disposal of whatever it is.
Those are some of the best options.
And some of that stuff is, to me, I don't know that I have a good for, but some of it's.
Is there a certain time that we have to hold that stuff after proceedings are done?
It depends on the case. If it's a high-profile felony or a high-level felony case, then I would want to keep all the evidence for minimums of 10 years, probably closer to 20. On some of the other cases, it's a lifetime, depending on the level of severity of the crime, so that if there ever is a incident where they reopen the case, we still have all the evidence that's needed. So we've got some evidence in there that will be lifetime of the county in the evidence room. We've got some that will be 20, 25 years, depending on the level of the case. But we've got a lot, after your smaller misdemeanors, 2 or 3 years, and sometimes immediately once the case is done, depending on what the court rules and the level of severity. So, there's a lot of that I would love to get rid of. And Sergeant Starkey's been working on some disposal sheets to go over to the judge and court to get those signed so we can get rid of some of that stuff. Clean out that room.
It'd be nice, if there could be public information on it, the public could have an opportunity to bid on it or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, we could have an auction there, Purple Powerful, choose to do it or decide you want to do it. Either way, I just want
It would be more fun to have it.
have a local, and
Future fun.
I I don't necessarily know, that we financially gain a lot of it, but it's worth it to get it going. Some of this stuff is nice stuff, some of it's.
At some point in time, you're gonna have room if you have to keep
We're
it
getting
as long
close.
as time.
We're
you're
getting
talking.
close. And we thought, that evidence room would be huge, and it was. But, you know how those goes. You never build your closet big enough, it seems like. And so we're trying to get some of that thinned out, so we've got a little more room. And we're still good, but it's just not as neat and tidy as I'd like to have it. Not as much room as I'd like to have. With that, I'll give Mr. Becker this is the report of the assets seized in 2018. Until money, one vehicle and cash amount.
Okay, so I guess there's really no action that we need to take.
Nothing, no, I just have to provide you with that information.
Okay.
And according to the statute, I've been trying to read that statute and determine whether this is 19 or 20 when this starts. It goes back and forth between the two. And some of this is kind of in place now, and some of it's kind of gray, so I just went ahead and did it. And took all of that
Yeah,
gray out.
you're talking about an evidence room. Where do you keep vehicles?
The vehicle is stored out back.
Okay.
It is stored behind. The cash and the vehicle back in November were turned over to the sheriff's office. Seized, again, from the drug case that was previous. Because they were used in conjunction with the drug case. They were used to transport and proceeds from the drug.
When you're talking about hard asset like a vehicle, I mean, if we can't sell that thing in 2 or 3 years, it's about rotted away, isn't it?
Well, yeah. This now we can sell this. This vehicle belongs to the sheriff's office, so we can either purple waive it, we can put it to use, we can do whatever we choose to do with it. Working with the title and the treasurer's office to get the title transferred over, because I do have the title. Out-of-state title, we do have it, so.
Yeah, because you hate to be collecting vehicles and stuff, and why can't sell that for 10 years?
My plan is if we have no use for it, then it would go on purple waiver and auction of some type and be disposed of, so that we no longer have it. Because I don't want to be a car lot across there.
Don't some of the counties use like the record services? Don't they have like impound areas?
They do have impound, those cost you daily storage
Lunch per day.
fees
Yeah.
per day, and they get pretty expensive. We've got cameras and videos on the back there as well, so that they're somewhat protected. Dispatch can see who's back there, if anybody.
I
So
will.
it's monitored.
Anything else, Rob?
I think that was about it. I brought the court docket to give that. And the state statute that talks about it, so, no, I think that's about all I had.
Commissioners have anything else?
I do. I wanted to ask you if you could just kind of give us a little update on what the involvement of the sheriff's department is in doing any type of active shooter training in the schools or the senior centers, homes, or any place where vulnerable people will gather, churches or whatever. I don't know what our county is doing from your level.
We have done, at the sheriff's level, I am an active shooter, it's
Coordinator.
called the ALICE program. Involved active shooters in schools, workplaces, churches, wherever. Myself and another instructor, Officer Hebert, Assistant Chief Hebert from Hillsborough, have gone to every school in the county. Presented this to all staff at the school level. So each center, Gossel, Hillsborough, Marion, Peabody, we spent a day with each last fall or summer. throughout the summer, and they were all given active shooter training, a response to it. The entire staff, we have gone back and are going back to some of the schools and presenting a lesser version to the students, so that they understand what the staff will be doing, and they're kind of on the same page. So we're very proactive in that.
Very good, very good. I know it's a concern nationwide.
Yes, it is here. I can't say it won't happen. I pray it doesn't, but I don't know.
I think everybody's prayed that it didn't happen at their place.
Yeah.
Diane mentioned the churches. Who, would they contact you or Jesse?
I have talked to some of the churches about.
'Cause I know there's concern because of church tragedies we've had.
Yes, they're not exempt. There's no place in the world that's exempt from these types of.
And in fact, those are more vulnerable because most people are not armed to protect themselves in churches.
They are.
Certainly encourage the churches in this county to, look at some of that type of training because
Many of the
they're all
churches
sitting tough.
have started to look at some of this training, and we've been in discussion with some of them and had some training with some, so there is some movement on that from the church level.
Good. Thank you.
Randy? I have a couple of questions. Telephone dispatch, after calls went out, Rob, are we still doing that?
I'm sorry?
Telephone dispatch that goes to the firemen, volunteer firemen?
Yes.
Are we?
The active 911?
Yeah, active 911, are we still
Yes.
doing that? Okay. I'm hearing it's quite a while afterwards, time relapse after that, is it still? Because when we were supposed to get the new dispatch CAD system, it was supposed to be a lot easier for the operators to do that.
It's easier for the dispatch to operate the system. However, the 911, it won't go out until they get it entered into the CAD. Now, dispatch is on the radio and on the phone, sending persons. They haven't gone over here and typed it all into the CAD yet. Once they type it into the CAD, once they get everybody notified over the air verbally, then it goes out. So that's where they have to type it in there and enter it before it will go. And they're still on the phone and still communicating via radio. That's why there's a lag in that. But it's typically within a couple, few minutes.
Yeah. It's got something, I just heard some riff, it's been quite a while on some of them, but that could be maybe the only one operator too.
Depending on the nature of the call, and some of these calls, the phones never stop ringing.
Right. Yeah, that's true too, a lot of callers call in from scene.
They're all on the phone, they don't have the time, or they haven't taken the time to do that.
And then next on our list is Lester's coming back for radios. I don't know exactly. Do you have any trouble with our radios in the county?
Law enforcement, to my knowledge, has no troubles. I have no trouble communicating anywhere in this county outside of some buildings. There's some buildings that I cannot communicate from. Those are typically metal buildings and typically, on the borders of the county.
Metal buildings, what?
It's just the frequencies, the radio frequencies don't penetrate the metal as well as.
Can't get your AM, FM radios in sometimes working.
Yes.
All the technology, you'd think that
You think
would
it
have
goes
been
through?
addressed because of the number of metal buildings that are in this country.
Yeah, rock buildings or, sticking.
Rocking the same way?
Rock's not a problem.
Oh, rock,
Brick and mortar sticking.
yeah.
Stick and sheet rocks, not an issue. Just typically the metal buildings degrade that signal, and I will admit that is true.
Okay.
But outside of the buildings, I have not found anywhere where I was not able to communicate on the 40.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.
I'm teasing.
Okay, Lester Kaiser out there.
He will, after dark.
Come in. Come in, come in.
Come on in.
Come in. Oh.
Somebody take the end chair down there.
You want the end chair?
I'll take it, because I'm usually the naughty kid.
Okay, you can have the
Yeah,
end chair.
that's for sure. Hi, come on in. Is there room for everybody? Oh, thank you.
Okay, who's the spokesman here this morning?
I'm the opening act here for Lester, so be warned.
Thank you.
Got quite a few guys here.
Yeah, do we have room for everybody? Is there still people out in the hallway? Or I guess everybody's here. Yeah. somebody's
Some
still out
standing
in the
room
hallway?
over here, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some
You're
room
good.
over here. Okay, now we're getting them in. Everybody in hearing distance?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank
Good
you
morning.
for allowing us time on the agenda. As I said earlier, I'm the opening act here for Lester and the rest of the fire chiefs. On the sheet in front of you, there's one issue here I want to address about MN number 2, Gossel. We still don't have an agreement from the county appointed council in regards to storing the first responder unit in our new second station building. But to keep the peace with the previous parties where it was stored and to show our willingness to work with the county EMS, the unit has already been moved and been stored there for a while. The first responders have been very pleased at the improvement in the location and it has worked very well. Amendment number 2 suggests that the commissioners encourage our legal counsel to move on this issue of getting us a contract. If Marion County Fire District number 2 doesn't see a contract in approximately 2 weeks' time, we may rescind the offer to store the first responder unit. And I will remind you that the rental rate that we offered is below market price because we wanted to show the value of working together with and alongside the EMS in this county. And my fire board is beginning to feel a bit like we're being taken advantage of. So keep that in mind, please.
Have you had any correspondence with Mr. Jantz at all?
No, Tina's been the only correspondence. The second one is countywide level here, moving to that. Starting with a quick update on the fire service in Marion County. Several members in several departments across the county, including myself, continue to further our own fire education and knowledge base by attending state and national classes and trainings. Much of what is not reimbursed by the fire departments is done at the partial personal cost of the individual firefighter. Some of us actually have qualifications to be hired as full-time firefighters if we wanted to. That's the level of training that some of us are getting. A couple of guys currently even do a little moonlighting on the side at the federal firefighting level and bring back wonderful experience to our local county departments. These different aspects of continuing education slowly improves all aspects of the fire service in this county. I can give specific examples if asked. The quality of our firefighting equipment across the county very slowly continues to improve. With our shoestring budget, this is only possible with the work of the volunteers that help design, weld, build, paint, and the unsung heroes that cook and bake and serve at the department fundraisers. There are also some businesses in the county that really pitch in to help the fire service in this county defray some costs. The county departments are currently gearing up for the wildland fire season upcoming. That will soon be here, and we continue to refine our county-wide wildland task force. We are only one of 8 counties in the entire state that have been organized enough to form a wildland task force. One subject I need to address is the burn resolution. We were addressing this last year about this time. As promised when the policy was written by us and approved by you, the commissioners, the county chiefs will soon be asking for public feedback on the burn resolution.
This will give everyone an opportunity to have a voice in the revisitation of this new resolution. Basically, we want guys the public to provide feedback for what they like, what they didn't like. If anything needs to be tweaked, we will pursue that. There continues to be a few key challenges affecting the improvement in the fire service in this county that the Marion County Fire Chiefs Association would like to now bring before you. The lingering radio issue is one of those challenges. Last year, using grants obtained by both the county and the individual fire departments, plus the committing of rescue equipment funds for a couple of years, and additional monies put in by you, the commissioners, helped to defray the cost of the radio system that the county mandated to the fire departments. And Tina has those specific dollar amounts. I've got them here too. For your consideration during this upcoming year, the Marion County Fire Chiefs Association asked the commissioners to consider putting any amount of funds towards the final remaining balance of the radio payment due. The additional funds last year by the commissioners allowed the county departments to keep up the improvements mentioned above in equipment and training. As some possible budget changes come into play this upcoming year for the county, such as the return of the economic development funds and the available funding for a county administrator, the County Chiefs Association asks that the commissioners please consider some funding for this last radio payment due. So that's the request. Keep it in mind as you go throughout the upcoming year. We'd appreciate it. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Kaiser now.
Commissioners, thank you. Matt, thank you very much. This is an informational update on our current radio issues, as mentioned a little bit earlier. Marion County Fire Chiefs would like to provide an update on some of the radio issues we are currently facing. This brief is intended to notify the Commission of some of the ongoing issues and problems faced by some of the Marion County Fire Departments. Start with the mobile radios. The mobile radios work great so far. There doesn't seem to be anyone having any issues with them, but then the system was designed for mobile radios going up and down the highways for KDOT. The state system was designed basically for KDOT, KHB, and so forth, going up and down. That it was never really designed for in-structure and building use. Portables, on the other hand, a bit of a different story. Depending on who you talk to, where they're at, you'll get a variety of stories. Peabody and Marion Fire are probably the best reception they have ever had compared to their old systems. Basically, the location of the tower is part of that reason. Hillsborough seems to be doing good, except in some of the buildings. Chief Steckity can comment on this if he likes. Ramona, Tampa, and Durham seem to be doing okay. Goss had some issues, but there was some work done, I guess, on the McPherson Tower, and they seem to be getting a look better. So, Ben?
Yeah. I was talking with one of my firefighters today, the one that I know has problems where he works. He has to turn his radio off because where he works, he doesn't get any coverage there. We have a couple of firefighters that, in their houses, there's only a couple of places where the radio coverage is good. There are several places of business that I walk into, and I have, even just now, my radio was out of service. I'm sure not all of them were, but just now it went out. So my feeling is we're kind of right on the cusp. We're right on the edge of having good coverage, but there are certain places where there's not. And I'd like to discuss a solution for that, but maybe I'll wait till Lester's done with his report, and then I have a possible solution. That may not be the $2 million solution that we've done.
Okay. Continuing, I do like the portables for the clarity they have and the ability to communicate in most areas outside of the buildings. We've proven that already. If we're outside most areas, we are picking up. However, there are some areas that they still have problems. They are a vast improvement over the old radios. However, like I say, there are still some issues. Currently, some of the issues are Florence, Lincolnville, and Lost Springs that I know of. Signal strength we have inside the building seems to be weak. In my house alone, there are only 2 places that I can have my radio where I'll receive a page. The RSSI, which is your radio signal strength indicator, there's a button on your radio that you can push and it will tell you what tower you have and what the signal strength is. Usually mine is between 32, 38, sometimes 40, depending on which tower. If it's the Marion Tower, Chase Tower, or Dixon County. In fact, the other night, my radio locked onto the Dickinson Tower with an RSSI of 20, and the only way I was able to force it to another tower is I had to shut it off and on 3 different times to get it to kick over to another tower. Normally, if you push your RSSI button, it'll force it to try to jump and find another tower. Now, radio techs state that you need between 35 and 45 for acceptable signal strength. So when we're in the 32, 35 range, even 38, it's still questionable whether you're going to be able to receive a page. He's also said that we do have issues in the Lost Springs and Lincolnville area, and also in some in the Florence area. We have responders whose radios are going in and out of service with the range tone that you heard earlier during the night, causing them to shut them off. Let's face it, if your radio starts beeping at you at 3 o'clock in the morning and you've got to get up to go to work at 5, the easiest thing you're going to do is you're going to reach over and you're going to shut it off. Okay. With this happening, the possibility of others not receiving the page due to in-building strength is cutting the number of our responders who could get the page and or be able to respond. This is a safety issue. If we can't receive alerts to respond to calls, it puts the population in a safe situation due to a possible extended response time from departments outside of primary response area. If for some reason they would page one of the departments as policy and they don't get a response after a couple pages, they move on to the next closest department. That in turn is going to lengthen your response time. The radios were given a direct channel to go from radio to radio, so we wouldn't have to worry about towers when we're doing interior attack and structure fires. So that to me says the possibility they possibly had an inkling of these issues. We have a channel on our radio that's designed to go radio to radio, skipping all the towers for when we're working inside of a building. It's an analog channel and it will punch through the building. We're not sure what needs to be done or can be done to take care of this, but we would like to communicate with radio people outside around the state, see what suggestions they have for fixes and bring it back to the commission. We've heard that possibly TBS or one of the radio companies will be working on state towers, including the Marion Tower later in the year, June, July timeframe, I believe, which supposedly could help our situation. We will be communicating with TBS to obtain more information. We were also advised that supposedly all 3 companies who talk radios in the county initially stated the radios would work here. Now, they're working for some people, but not for everybody. We're not sure what to do or what needs to be done, but we will continue to investigate and talk to radio people, both commercial companies and radio specialists who work within other state agencies. Questions? And then I'll turn it over to Ben or any of the other fire chiefs if they have any comments or additional information. Questions from the commission?
Haven't you been, was it the Motorola techs that come out, or is that a third party that works on that?
That'd be TBS, yes, that's
TBS?
Motorola, yes.
Have they been satisfactory to work with?
They've been great to work with. Steve Graber, who comes out, he's programmed our radios, he's come out 3 different times, worked with the radios, and, we're getting some of the information from him as far as, yeah, you've got a problem. We're, not much we can do at this point. We're continuing to work with them, but as far as working with them, they've been very good to work with. Any questions you have, they'll answer them. Any problems we have with the radios, if they can address them or fix them, they will.
So
Brad, you've worked with Steve.
Steve, he's great, absolutely great to work with. He's jumped through hoops for us time and again. For my behalf, Lost Springs behalf, it seems like we're bouncing tires so much that we're getting so much garble, bits and pieces of information, and for me, that's just being out in my yard. I'll just, all of a sudden I'll hear dispatch come online and say 10-4, it's like, I missed a complete transaction, I don't know what happened, and as far as being paged out of my house at night or wherever, I'm with Lester. There's only about one place in my whole house that I get enough reception to get any page. So I'm counting on active 911, and there's issues there too. Can't count on it. So as for me, as chief of Lost Springs, I feel like we're maybe able to send half of our responders out when paged, because we may or may not get the notification.
You just mentioned something, Brad, about active 911.
Yes.
What kind of time lapse do you have after the calls are gone out on the radio before you guys get it on your phones?
Mine, I still haven't got a lot of mine.
You still don't get them?
Yeah, I still don't get
And
mine.
you got good cell service?
Yeah, my brother, I was standing next to my brother, he'll get his, but I won't get mine. We're standing in the same spot, so I don't know what the story is.
Anybody else up in the north there?
I walk in my
Florence,
beauty
any trouble, Mark?
shop and my ladies keep saying, why is your radio keep beeping? And so I just turn it off. It's just not worth having it on. So it's annoying to my customers to sit there and listen to it beep and beep and beep.
Because we usually rely on her to dispatch us, because we're
Yeah,
out in the
and
field,
then I
or
call
she'll
them
call
and
us
say,
and we'll
hey,
go out.
you know.
We're sometimes responsible, we just ain't gonna
Where's
get it.
Chase and Morris County's towers at?
I'm not real sure where those, I don't know if Norris has one, I can't remember, but I know I jumped onto a Chase tower, and I think the Dickinson Tower is somewhere around Carlton, I believe. I've never seen a map to the exact location.
So many towers, and I wondered if those are kicked.
It's signal strength basically is what we're running into, you know, if it finds, if signal strength is low here, you know, the next cycle, it's gonna try to find a little bit higher one, so it may jump to the next one, or it may jump to the next one. Sometimes it locks, you know, it's just one of those things.
They're like a cell phone technology.
Yeah.
What's your experience up northwest, Mark?
Radio works fine where we're at. We go like in our Durham Fire Station, Tampa Fire Station, then it's beeping. We wouldn't get a page there. Active 911, I don't know what to say on the time on that. That varies. I mean, the longest we've had is maybe 5 to 7 minutes after a page. McPherson County, we get at the same time the page comes out there, so I'm not sure they seem to be a lot faster there. I don't know what it is there.
We would see if you're told that would improve drastically the business.
There's one situation where I never got the page out, and then over my phone there was shots fired, so I came packing because I didn't know what I was walking into because I didn't hear anything on the radio. And I don't know why it is shots fired either. And we could I got that one too, to where we didn't know what that was.
So
And it's supposed to be a lifting
perception,
assistance.
this is a tower problem?
Ben? I mean,
The active 911?
no, well, either the
Yeah.
tower, active 911, that's comes out of dispatch. That's all cell phone.
But I mean, your paging
radio?
and all that.
Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. And I talked with TBS this morning, as a matter of fact, and asked them about the improvements that are gonna happen to the Aldi Tower. And he said that that's not gonna affect us at all, because what happens is there's gotta be a connection, or he's referred to it as a handshake, between this radio and the tower. So the tower transmitting a stronger signal to get to this radio doesn't help if this radio can't transmit and hit the tower. And I think that's the basis of our problem, is these handheld radios don't have the power to link with the tower, and that's where our problem is coming from. So we've talked about adding towers, and that's what other counties have done, but that's an incredibly expensive proposition. So, you know, I'm just brainstorming, just thinking about it, my rudimentary knowledge of radios. You know, some fire departments use a mobile repeater. They have a repeater in their fire truck that takes the mobile radio and boosts the signal so that firefighters on the fire ground get a better signal, and then the dispatch gets a better signal as well. So what if you just had a base station at your station, a mobile radio with an antenna, put the mobile repeater on there and boost your signal 10 watts or whatever, just to make it, like I said, we're on the cusp. And maybe this is something that would take us over the top and would get us better signal. When I mentioned that to the guy at TBS, he said, well, we're gonna have to toss that around and think about that a little bit, because that might actually work. The price per unit would be around $5,000. So instead of millions of dollars, we could put one of these in every station in Marion County for $65,000. And to me, that seems like a much better solution. Now, it may not be the 100% solution, but say there's 50 firefighters and EMTs in Marion County that aren't getting paged out. If instead of spending $3 million to make sure we get all of those 50, if we can spend $65,000 and get 48 of them, then the cost versus benefit works out real well. So I guess what we're seeking is your permission to pursue this option. and see if maybe this is something that'll work. But there's gonna have to be some studies done, coverage studies and things like that, to see how this might work.
Man, this mobile repeater is not a new thing.
It's not new at all.
I mean, it was mentioned when we were going through the process,
Yep.
but they never told us what it, except it just sounded like it had to be on scene to do something for you, stuff like that.
One of the issues, there are some technical issues, one of which is it has to be a certain channel. The repeater only works on a channel. So I said, well, can that be our page channel? And they thought that it might. They might be able to work it, so that's our page channel. So that's all that would happen then over the repeater would be paging. So it's still, that solves our paging problem. And the ATAC 92D channel that Lester mentioned kind of solves our working in and out of the building, getting in and out of the building during firefighting and police operations, EMS operations. You know, because that's just radio to radio. It doesn't have to go from this port to the tower and then back again.
Does that work pretty good when you're on scene?
So far, we've really, when we've tested it, yes.
The frequency works pretty well. It's
yeah.
just, you know, it's remembering to do it.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
see, that's, you know, with this one, like Ben says, the mobile repeater is an idea. There's gonna be, like he said, some possible limitations, you know. If you're in your area around your station, okay, you'll be on this channel, but if you happen to go outside of the area, you're gonna have to remember to maybe switch to another channel, so you can, you know, if I come to Marion and my repeater doesn't reach to here, I don't know if Mike's repeater would pick up, if Marion had one, if it would pick up to do the same thing, or if I would have to go back to my base to the original channel. So these are things that we have to talk with radio guys. I've got a radio guy that I'm going to be spending probably about a week with here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to just pick his brain from one end to the other. But it's like I said, there's got to be some options out there other than the $1 million options.
Is Sheriff having any problems like this, or?
I just asking, you know.
We have absolutely zero problem communicating anywhere in the county.
But you don't
Why
page,
is that?
Sheriff doesn't get paid.
Yeah, we don't get paid.
Right, you're not at home.
Our portables, I can go anywhere in the county and outside the building, granted outside of a metal building, I can talk anywhere in the county. I've never had an issue.
And we have the same results when we're outside.
Yeah, outside of a building, I've never had an issue. When I go in the buildings, yeah, I lose
See,
signal too.
when we
A lot of
tested
times
it-
if I move 5 feet one way or the other, or 2 feet, it regains it, but not always, especially in a metal building.
Metal building, like I say, I've never had any luck at all. Like he said, there's no reception. That's the reason most of us are putting, or at least considering mobiles in our fire station.
Well, mobile repeaters, when somebody mentioned that, well, what's it gonna do inside that metal building? Is it gonna even get out
Well,
of that building?
the antenna's outside of the building, so in theory, it should work like a standard repeater site. We would, like I say, I'm not radio smart. I mean,
Right.
that's gonna be for the technicians to look at and figure out, but at least it lets us move into a possible direction.
Yeah, same here. And as good as TBS is, and as much as we like working with them, I think it's wise to bring in other experts, you know, so you get a broader field.
We would approach this academically and methodically to find a solution that was not $1 million tower.
And I do know that there is, Potawatomi County is putting a system in. They're tying into the state system. They're already 800, but they're adding, I believe, fire and EMS. But they're adding 6 towers, some communications stuff in their dispatch, and that company is guaranteeing them 95% in-building coverage countywide. But it's at a cost of like 4.2. So, I mean, that's got quite a healthy price tag on it. So, but that's about all that I have unless, Brad, Matt?
Any other firefighters have any other comments? Sure.
Well, I think you should certainly pursue it, to find out what we can do. And I like hearing what you're saying about the repeaters as an alternative, or maybe a possible solution or assistance. I think we should certainly pursue that.
What do you think? What would be your first steps? Do you think try one?
First step's gonna be a radio study. Talk to them if it'll work in our situation. You got, like I say, between the two of us, like I say, if it'll work, how it's gonna work outside of our area, will the other stations repeaters pick us up? Probably then
you know,
Study.
see if there's any case
Yeah.
history, see if others have done it, you know, and if it's worked for them.
Because I know when we did the previous radio system years and years ago, when we had the meetings at Hillsborough, they had signal strength maps scattered all over tables, you know, here's what this will do, here's what this will do. And I think we need to probably start there and see what it'll do from the different buildings. How high do we have to be? Will the top of the fire station be tall enough, or will we have to, you know, put an antenna mast or something? I don't.
So this company willing to work with you on that type of a study?
The phone conversation I had this morning, they are, yeah. They're gonna have their in-house meeting and discuss what some of the options might be and get back to me. You know, we're just kind of throwing ideas out there and seeing what's gonna stick. And this is one that may stick.
Yeah.
Everybody's dropping.
This is what we experience all day long.
Yeah, this is our life.
And fire is so important. I mean, that's just as important as ambulance or anything.
Yeah.
So, I
Tell
think.
my wife about that when it's beeping at 3 in the morning.
Yeah. I
Not a
hear
good
you.
thing.
I hear
Not a
you.
good thing, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish we could get back to the old system where pagers went off, you knew, it woke you right up, and that was, you didn't hear all the garbage all night.
You got anything else?
Well, yeah, I just want to reiterate to them, and I'd like the commission to go ahead and reiterate that we would go ahead and support them to pursue it and bring back the information that they find as to what direction we maybe need to go. I certainly can't fathom just letting it go to the wayside. I mean, they need our help. They need our support. So I would just like to have the commission commit that we're willing to help and work with them, pursue and find some answers maybe.
I just think that if you can get some groundwork done to show that this is what we need to do, bring it to us. I mean, apparently, you know, we want the best for everybody, and we don't like that tone going off, and nobody likes it, the tone going off in the middle of the night, or let alone in buildings. I mean, you're 6 miles from the tower right now, or, yeah, from direct path through here right now, so if you're losing 6 miles, if you're losing that, your radios go off like that and over in the building over there, Rob?
If I go deep in the building, if I go into the jail,
Yeah.
it doesn't work inside the actual jail, but around the building. It depends on where I'm at, I can sit in a chair and it'll beep, and if I just turn
Yeah,
this
certain
way,
way they don't go off.
it goes off.
I can't
In a
sit-
doorway, if you're standing in a doorway.
I can't
garden area.
sit in the front half of the congregation at Alexandria Church Sanctuary because it'll go off. So, yeah, we sit in the back now. Yeah, we're back there.
Well, you're closer to the door that way.
There you go, there you go.
Well, I think you gentlemen have heard our comments, and it appears that there is a consensus that we want to work with you on this with you, and see what you can come up with and bring it back to us.
Mr. Chairman, may I also ask one other thing that we addressed while we're here? One of the first things that they requested was some more assistance to help pay for the radios. Last year, we did give them the $95,000. That was designated for the administrator, which last year did not go through. We do, as they mentioned, have money coming in. I don't know what the total amount is from the MCC or administrator, whichever one. And, I mean, I think we need to help them this year again, pay some money on their equipment. As you had said, their equipment that they're purchasing, their updates and so on is declining because of the cost and then all these problems they're having. I think they need some help, and we have some funds coming in, and I really think that we need to offer some help to them to pay for these radios. I don't know how they're gonna make it if we don't help them, honestly.
How much has each department paid so far? Out of your funds?
Personal funds?
Yeah.
See, one of the problems we're running into is we can't, on the local fire district level, we can't apply for a lot of grants for the same project 2 years in a row.
Because of the match?
No.
Because they've already funded it
Because they've
through the
already
grant,
funded it,
so they
so
can't-
we can't apply for a grant for the same project 2 years in a row.
Right.
That's, the total is $128,000 that is owed by every entity, including
That includes,
City,
Gospel
Hillsborough,
PD,
Gospel,
Hillsborough PD,
everybody.
Florence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's estimated to,
That's the final,
that's the final.
final payment. But how much, what I'm asking, how much of your department paid, Hillsborough paid?
Okay.
I have that here, I can
Dave,
make a copy.
Okay.
That's good, because we were scrambling.
So tell me about some of your, while we're waiting for this copy, some of your equipment that you may need to update or,
I know Brad's got it. Well, right now, we have a truck at Under Fire in Sedgwick, Kansas. They're a firefighter, truck and bed building specialist. An old fiberglass tank that's literally cracking and falling apart. It's a 1,500 gallon tanker truck that supplies water on the little flyers, hauls water. Right now, we're about $37,000 to get that rebuilt, and that's about a third of our whole annual budget. We like to be on a 15-year truck replacement schedule. We pushed that back to 20 because we have a pumper that's 15 and we can't afford to replace it, so now we're gonna apply for a 20-year equipment replacement.
and what about safety equipment for the men to wear during firefighting? Is that pretty much up to snuff?
That comes first priority before trucks.
Okay.
Personnel before
Good.
trucks. So, yeah, you guys can address what you guys have experienced.
We're in good shape.
We're holding our own. We got about another, in theory, under NFPA, we've got about another 2 years. Then theoretically, our structure gear is supposed, by their standard, out of compliance. They run on a 10-year cycle. To outfit, that's going to probably, Brad, one set's running around 2,000, give or take.
Yes, I just got a grant from the fire marshal's office for $7,000 from a year, but it doesn't go very far. No, we're probably gonna have to consider raising our mill to get all of our firefighters to that point of being safe with their gear first.
I'm gonna apply for grants probably as we get closer to see if we can get lucky to get some. But like I say, it's gonna probably run me 35,000.
On a match?
That'll be base price, then whatever the match is. If it's FEMA grant, then that's a 5% match. If it's USDA, I think we get, our area qualifies for 15%. If it's fire marshal's office, they give you X dollars, and then you buy what you can out of that. I've already put in for 2 grants this year, and I've got 2 that I'm waiting for them to open up that I'll be putting in for to try to get some of the stuff. Last year, our truck we put in service, our forestry truck was, we spent a total of over 2 years of $45,000 to put it on the road. And that was with correctional facility up at Ellsworth doing a lot of work. So, but the rest of our gear is, we're holding our own. Probably put in for a grant this year for wildland gear, because that's needing replaced.
I know as serving on one of those boards a few years ago, maybe Mark can address it. What kind of shape is your bunker gear up there now?
It would be considered outdated.
Yeah, it was then. I mean, some of that was hand-me-downs from other departments.
So do you see the information that you were asking for, Randy?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out their payments, what they paid.
Okay, so if you look at the payments received 2018, which is the third column from the right, and it's also broken down at the bottom left-hand corner, written out line by line. We did receive a payment from Florence, which was all grant, USDA and Community Foundation grant money. We, Gossel Fire Department got a grant, and that money came in. Gossel Police paid their entire balance of $5,337.86. Hillsborough made a payment of $16,875.92, and theirs is combined police and fire. Lehigh paid in $2,163.34, and Lost Springs Fire paid in $10,000, and Marion Fire paid in $2,262. So the total payments that we received in from the district was $63,939.82. And so you can see that the total cost is over on the left. The rescue funds for year 1 are there, the USDA grants are listed, the admin money, then year 2 rescue monies, the second 26,000 there, then the payments that we received that I just mentioned. And so the total to be billed out in 2019 to all the different agencies, including the cities, it's 128,979.86.
What was why you guys couldn't get the grant from Lost Springs?
No.
What was the reason? I remember something about it, but I don't remember.
LMI. If I remember
It was
correctly,
their
that was the LMI on the USDA
income.
grant, low to moderate income.
Yeah.
And the town next to them, Ramona, got 85%.
It was quite a bit.
Yeah. Zero, you, Lester, got it.
I got 15%.
LMI.
And that was,
I've got all your budgets here, I've looked over your budgets and stuff for all the districts. I don't have yours and Marion's, I don't have those two. So I don't know what yours and Marion's budget is, but I've got the rest of the districts right there, so I see what you guys, I think you had a fire truck payment, didn't you, Lester?
Yes, sir.
21,000 or something like that, yeah.
anytime you add emergency services in front of it, and I'm sure that sheriff and EMS director will both agree, you might as well jack the price up
Yeah.
200%.
And also, I see your board signatures on some and stuff like that. I've been farming. I want the best, just like you guys, too. Also, the board has to know, just what Kent said a while ago, that he has to know that what they're facing as the board, how much they're gonna raise their mill levy and stuff like that, too. So, I understand what you're saying. I first want to get radios to where they work for you. That's the first thing I want to accomplish, and if it takes repeaters or whatever, I'm game to do that. The pay on the equipment and stuff like that, I think maybe we can look to see some help, but I wouldn't expect it. We've got some things too that are coming up that we'd like to do, but radios was told 5 years ago, 6 years ago, to start saving some money for. We didn't know it was gonna be as expensive as they are at the time we started saving, so.
Yeah, these are almost twice as much as, and we've had to up our insurance coverage actually, which ups our premium, et cetera, et cetera. You know how that works.
And it basically was an unfunded mandate that we passed down to them. So, and with all the costs and things, and they're volunteer people, and they're struggling. And I just think that we need to prioritize with our safety people and provide assistance on this. I mean, if we put them in a position to where they're gonna have to rob Peter to pay Paul, ultimately, the county's gonna suffer somewhere, somehow. And I don't wanna see that happen. That's my opinion.
I didn't get last year's budget. I guess I go back and get that too, to see if you guys raised the mills for your departments. Did anybody do that?
If I may
Yeah.
add something, I know we've turned down many times on you getting paid to go out on runs and whatnot, or set rate on hours. As Lost Springs, we've turned it down time and time, because I'd rather have the equipment instead of getting paid 20, 30 bucks here or whatever for a car. I'd rather have the equipment.
I think that's what's great about most of our county. I don't know about the cities. They get some pay. Marion does. I think probably Hillsborough does, but most of your rural ones, we never did Peabody. We never did nothing like that.
We get a little bit of pay.
Here's my $14 mileage check that I got last night. Award banquet, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you don't pay, you don't get enough to even think of what you just forfeit to the family too.
Yeah, our firefighters get $12.50
Right.
per run.
And like I said, in addition to the training, last week I spent 2 days in Hutch at a ICS 300 class, high-level incident command class. Luckily, Kent Spartan Emergency Management paid for the active class registration, but mileage for it, 2 days of my time, And that's just a small example of what all these guys do.
Everybody.
Yeah.
If you're a volunteer, you're gonna give some time.
Yeah. Yep.
And you put your lives on the line on some of those fires are pretty ugly.
I guess my first intentions, if I'd like to see them pursue this. We heard about them when we was buying radios, but I didn't understand they would do anything like that at that time, Ben. I thought you had to have one maybe forever.
We never really got real good answers when we asked about mobile repeaters.
Yeah.
And I guess we just didn't know exactly what to ask.
What to ask.
And a lot of us still have our towers up from our old system still up. Maybe there's some way to reuse some of that.
Our antenna's still up. So whether it'll work.
Yeah, it might be the different
Yeah.
antenna.
Whether it'll work in conjunction with the existing system, we don't know.
When you say towers, are you saying just telephone poles? I remember that's about the most.
Ours on top of the water tower.
Or on top of the elevator.
Ours is on the water tower.
Locations, is what you're saying may be available. Okay.
Just final, I'll just say that I will continue to pursue trying to get you some financial help for the radios. I won't forget it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank all of you.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys hearing us out.
I think with our discussion with the commission, I think we do want to support you in whatever degree that ends up being. And so I guess whatever your information follow-up you can do for us, well, we appreciate it.
And if you could follow up on that contract, we're also, so we could, that right here.
And thank you all for your service. Really appreciate your
Thank you,
service.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. I'll wait till those meetings. Somebody go.
Thank you. Thank you.
You too.
Okay, is Janice Davis available?
I see Mr. Jansen's out there.
Brad is out here.
Yes, Brad is out there. I see him have coffee but no donut. Are they gone?
What's that?
No, cinnamon rolls?
Cinnamon rolls are still there,
Oh, are they?
but there wasn't a chair, and I thought, well, I'm gonna balance
Okay. There you go. Good morning. Good morning, Janice.
Oh, no, it's empty. I have to do this, 'cause I'm.
Okay, Janice, we have Janice Davis here to discuss a Sierra malt beverage license. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Just like you guys got a copy of the whole thing, all but the very first one we did. Because I don't even have the very first one. Okay, first of all, I want to know who ran the background check and why on Gary.
Brad, can you address the
Why on Gary? Gary's not applying.
He's spouse.
It doesn't matter, because if you go back to,
The background check is a part of what we are supposed to do now. And I believe it was just run on the applicant, but they look at the application. We didn't specify who to run it on, the state agency.
well, the state says they don't have a problem with this. And I've talked to them numerous times over this.
Okay, but I'm just answering your question. We
Okay, I
just
want a copy of these
requested,
background checks.
pardon me?
I want a copy of the background checks.
Okay, okay.
You what?
I don't know that that's open information that we can share.
If it is, we'll.
Right, if it is, we can provide it.
Well, it's kind of pertaining to me and my husband, so I really don't know why I couldn't have one. Okay. For the paper I gave you, there's the denial. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, it's all because of the section 4. It don't say anything about arrested, it only says convicted or released from. Okay, we're gonna go back to, since I got a phone call last night telling me you guys are gonna go back to this, let's go back to the number 1, back when Gary applied for it, on 11/20 of 17. This one. You don't tell me if a background check was ran on that one or not. But this is a renewal. So obviously they ran a background check on him when we done the first one, which was been 4/17 of 17 was the first liquor license we had. And I don't have a copy of that actual license. I don't know why I don't, but I didn't. And still, with no convictions or release from.
17, Deb,
No convictions.
okay, but had incident that apparently happened.
It happened on 4/16/16. But there's nowhere in this section 4 that y'all are going off of
Well,
that
what I'm
says
getting-
arrested.
Wait a minute though, what I'm saying though is, would it even be on file at
Nope.
that time? For the first license?
Nope.
Okay.
And it is, you know, and by what we checked on these boxes, we didn't lie. And if you read what that one is, it doesn't say anything about arrested.
Which page are you on?
Okay, just on the first license, license on number 4, they're all the same, section 4. And that's, I might not have given you all these.
I got one. Now your thing says copy over here. Mine says copy
Okay.
at the center. so
Okay, I didn't
it's
give you copies, I
different.
guess, of the first 2.
Okay, all
Because this
right.
was a hurry-up deal last night, and I'd already had a shot for migraine, so I was, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but on Gary's first one, I don't have a copy of. The second one we filed, they don't say they ran a background check on me, which still would have showed nothing. Okay, then we moved to the one I filed, get it in my name, which would have been a new liquor license at the time, which would have been 4/8, the one you guys remember signing, the 4/5 of 18.
I remember that one, yeah.
Okay, that was a new license. I put it in my name, not his. Okay, there was a background check per Tina that they ran a background check on me. Didn't show nothing, which you still wouldn't have. Then, let's go to this year's, which you guys have got a copy of. All right, now, at the time I filed this, there still was nothing on neither one of our records. And per Tina, she was gonna turn this all over to you guys on the 19th of December, November, for you guys to sign. But since I didn't cancel my county commission meeting for them, after she called me for 6 minutes trying to get me to cancel it, then all heck broke loose. I have phone records. And you called me off of Jesse's phone. So then after I didn't cancel my commission meeting with you guys, then they decided to run a background check, and the background check was completed on 12/26/15. 18 she says, okay. But, so go back to section 4, the part that I have highlighted for y'all with a little asterisk on it. If you go back to the last page, the asterisk tells you if a renewal application, which it was, applicant's spouse is not required to meet no criminal background history.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Say that again.
Okay, on your little asterisk, like I said, I think I highlighted it on before y'all.
Oh, yeah,
On
I'm
section
sorry,
4.
yeah.
Okay, go to the back page,
Yeah.
and you're down there to B9. It says applicant's spouse is not required to meet the no criminal history requirement per the KSA 412703B9. Okay? What she did, she went in there and she copied off that KSA whatever. And she marked number 10. So you know she read number 9 saying that this doesn't apply to my husband. But she marked it anyways.
So now you're talking about this, number 10.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But if you read number 9, per the license itself, it tells you whatever Gary did doesn't pertain to me or my liquor license. And I was told there's a new law. If there's a new law on this, why can't nobody find it but you? Our lawyer can't find it. We can't find it. We pulled up all these KSA numbers.
Brad, anything to add?
Sure.
I spoke with Ms. Davis's legal counsel and suggested if she could find a way around it, to feel free to talk to Dorothy at the state, because I've made 4 different phone calls at length with them and generally reached the same consensus each time. I'm not overly concerned about the older applications, the originals from 17. What Ms. Davis is saying is accurate. It started out with the applicant being her husband, Barry, and then he was issued a license in 17. He reapplied at the end of 18 because these licenses run on a calendar year basis. Subsequent to that, that one has a big red X through it. It was canceled out, and Janice is correct. She came in her own name, and that is, in fact, as she said, absolutely correct. It's a new one at that point. So we're going to start over. And that was 4/5 of 18. That application was done. Application, not issuance. 4/17 of 18, Mr. Davis was rendered a judgment on felony charges that would disqualify the spousal element of this under number 5 of 412703, which absolutely does apply. Anything within 2 years involving a spouse's conviction for the convictions of any kind of felony for moral turpitude disqualifies the applicant and the spouse. 423, after his judgment on 417, well within 2 years, heck, within 6 days, is when that initial license for her was issued.
But I had turned it in on 4/5.
I don't care when you turned it in. That's an application. It says application approval in the statute. Not application, application approval.
Well, I'm sorry, it take you guys forever to...
Forever is 18 days. Okay, you call it what you want. So it should never have been issued. And it was issued, and then the renewal comes in. I don't disagree. It's a renewal coming in at the end of the year on a license that should never have been issued. So I am not going to advise the county to go ahead and renew something that should never have been issued to begin with. And I went to the state 4 times on this, and I got the same answer each time. That's correct.
Well, they also told me when I talked to the state, and somebody else here has talked to the state, they also said they have not a problem with us having a liquor license, but it's up to the county.
And I told them, if you can get them to instruct us, but in terms of the county's liability, I am not going to stretch and abort this overall statute in such a way to grant one. And again, the county has no horse in this race. They're perfectly happy, I'm sure, this commission as a whole, to have you out there conducting business.
Not really.
Well, again, I'm not going to argue over that. I'm just here to do the legal side of it. Okay?
But you don't do a very good job at that either. You wouldn't even return the calls to my lawyer until I got the commissioners to call you and tell you.
No, ma'am. I did return the calls to your lawyer. No. And I talked with her, and I'm not going to argue with you about that either. And I don't care whether you think I do a good job. I do the very best I can at this. And I spent a long time on this trying to find a way for this to work, because we are liable for those licenses as we issue them.
Okay, has cops ever been called out to my place? Have I sold beer to anybody underage? Have I done anything? Seriously?
None of that's relevant.
But relevantly, you guys issued me a license. It was a new one.
That shouldn't have been issued.
Well,
and
is that
I
my
acknowledge
fault?
that. So that was a bonus. You got to sell for an additional 8 months.
You know, our beer man won't even take the beer back because he's sitting here laughing at you guys saying this ain't even right. And he's been selling beer for way over 30 years, but he's getting ready to retire.
Well, and I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Okay, whatever you say.
I think acting on our legal counsel's advice and opinions, I'm ready to move on. Doesn't appear that we can do anything to change anything. So, any other commissioners?
No, I think, Brad, you have made contact, and right now you've advised them to...
I gave her attorneys the number for Dorothy, the lady who's supposed to be dealing with all the CMBs primarily, although Randy, I spoke to, and Michelle, I don't remember who the fourth one was. But she and I had a good cordial conversation. I said, if we can find a way around this, I'm perfectly fine with that. I have no issue with issuing a license, but here's the problem. And last I knew, she was going to call Dorothy, and I gave her the direct dial number for the lady at the state. But I don't know when you two have last communicated, but she and I talked last week at some length, and we went through all this, trying to make sure, so she understood where I was coming from, and that really it wasn't anything where we were trying. I didn't set out here to try to turn down your license, ma'am. I really didn't. Got no reason to do it.
You, I might believe. Tina, no. But, yeah,
But anyway, so that's, well, I was in hopes that she would still, and I still am, that she will have made that phone call and get back to me and say, this is what they told me. She and I can get on a conference call with them, I'm happy to do that. If we can find a way around it, that's great, but it lays out this way. It took me a long time to get all this put together and make sure I was clear on it, because I really didn't want to advise against it unless I knew for sure that I had an issue.
So Brad, I have a, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So if all this happened, when is the starting date for the 2 year? Is it the 4/17 date?
Yeah.
Or that's the starting date. So.
Any 2 years preceding that date. I read this as liberally as I can. It says in the statute committed. Well, a lot of people read that, oh, well, that's when it happened. No, you're innocent until proven guilty. This was originally charged in 16, and just about exactly 2 years later, 2 years and a couple of days, judgment was rendered on 4/17 of 18, which fell right in between the application date of 4/5 and the issuance date, which is our approval date, of 4/23. So it was not able to be issued anytime from 4/17/18 on for a 2 year period of time.
So going forward, having said that, if it's disapproved today or continued to be disapproved, she would have to wait, what, another year?
That
to come back?
we'd have to ask the state to see if there's any other dispensation or way that they
let
can
me,
get around that.
just help you all there. If I don't get one today, I'm gonna have my son come in and get one, because he owns just as much, he owns it too. If y'all wanna play games, we'll play games even harder.
Thank you, Brad, for that answer. I didn't know. So to clarify, did you tell me there would be another year, just one more year, and then?
No, I don't honestly know
Oh, you don't
exactly
know.
whether there would
Okay.
be something. It reads 2. But if there's anything else that they can do, any kind of alternative they can give in those instances, I haven't investigated that at all.
I see.
I just wanted to get past this threshold requirement because we needed to get an answer.
Why, when I talked to the state, they told me they didn't have a problem with it. It's all on the county.
I don't know, ma'am. I can just tell you who I
And I
spoke to.
talked to Kathy.
Was the first issue, license we issued to you in 4/17, or did we issue one in 1/1 of 17?
The first one that was done was 4/17 of 17. That was issued to Gary.
That was the very first one?
Yes.
Okay.
And we still didn't break nothing
No.
per section 4. Okay. And then on 11/20 of 17, we did another liquor license for 18. Okay, it was approved. Okay, then when 4/5, I come in to do it, get it out of his name, because we didn't know what was going to happen in court. I mean, we're sitting here with an off-duty judge, and this guy's daughter saying that Gary didn't do anything, that her dad did it. But since her dad happens to be an off-duty cop, they didn't care.
Stay on subject here.
Yeah. And so then I was approved for that one, and it said there was a background check ran on me.
I think as I told you on the phone, I've still got to listen to this gentleman. I think the commission has to listen to this gentleman right now. So I think my best advice would be to have your lawyer make contact with
No,
him and.
I'm tired of spending money on it. I'm just gonna get my son to play. You know, y'all wanna play games, I'll play games harder.
Okay, all right.
And Tina, I don't know what it is you got over this county and why every time you tell them to sign anything, if they do that.
No, we're done with that, so thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I would just like to say, I have nothing personal
Yeah,
against
you do.
Mrs. Davis at all. This is just an application process that we had to go through. I wasn't expecting anything to come back on the background check, and when it did, then I
Okay,
sent
so
it
why
all
does
to
the dates
legal
coincide
counsel.
with, okay,
So that's it. That's all I wanna say
all
about
the
that.
dates coincide with exactly what I'm saying here though. From the time I had that last county commission meeting over my ditches, which by the way, they did an awesome job.
I have no reason, that's a completely separate issue. It's a completely separate issue, and I have no reason not for you to want your ditches cleared
Well,
out.
yeah.
That was nothing.
Well, you called me for 6 minutes trying to talk me out of it off of Jesse Ham's phone.
No, I didn't. I haven't used
Oh,
Jesse's
yeah.
phone.
Oh, yeah, I did. Here, I got phone records if you want to see.
Okay, we're done, so thank you. We're moving on now.
Okay, well, it's either we get a liquor license in my son's name, we're gonna close this down. This obvious. This city, this town, or this county doesn't want businesses here. And I can see why nobody comes here.
Okay, moving ahead, we've got department head reviews. I think that's both of those are personnel issues, so they will be in executive session. So I think at this point, if there's anybody that wants to make any comments, we'll do that, and then we'll go ahead and move into the department head reviews. So anybody out there like to say anything? Mike?
Going back to economic development, something that we even skipped on last year was possibly attending our RV shows down at Wichita or sport boat travel shows that have been done in the past. Is there any way, Isaac, on a short notice could, and maybe a couple volunteers still attend some of that? I mean, even the last thing we did in economic development was pretty much more brochures and have several of our residents' ads in the travel guides. And I still think it's a worthwhile effort. I don't know, I haven't spoken to a couple of the ones out the lake, or the county lake, that would have volunteered to go on for a day or something, so.
I know I've done it in the past.
Maybe we've had.
Maybe you've done it, Randy.
So maybe we're almost too late. I know one of them is this weekend already,
Oh, I
for
don't
the
know.
next 3 days, so. I I think think you have to apply as a vendor, and and I'm I'm sure that deadline is passed. Well, that's what, but I think there'll be a couple more in the near future as well. And whether we want to investigate, still put some effort into that. That's been done in the past, and I think it's still a good option for our county and promoting our county lake as well as our reservoir.
Dale's there many times.
Yeah, I can't speak for the rest of the commission, but I would be in favor of trying to help what we could, if we could have some kind of booth, whether it be county lake people or county or
Or
volunteers.
whoever's running in charge of the floor out there for reservoir.
I don't know.
I mean, Hillsborough Chamber of Commerce, I think that's put some.
I have no issue with it, no.
I don't know who needs to follow it up, or who we would wanna organize something.
If the commission has no problem, let's let Isaac get his foot wet right quick like and see
At
if we
least
can call and find out.
see if they're still in the ones to come yet this
There
winter.
may be an open booth, I don't know, like you said, the date may be passed, but they may let you in yet, so.
It's just a thought. Then I guess, hope for better weather, but it doesn't sound like we're gonna get it next week for our rural roads. They're a mess, and I don't know, they're gonna stay that way.
Go ahead.
Henry?
Do you want me to do the invocation next week?
I would appreciate it.
I have a conflict, but this will take priority.
Well, if you have a conflict, don't
No,
worry about it.
that's fine.
We'll-
This will take priority over, if you want me to do it.
Okay, well, but I don't want you to take out if you've got something important going on, because we can get someone else
No,
to do it.
I can be a little late at one.
Okay.
I just wanted to be sure.
Okay, we appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Well, let me know if there's anything I could help. I could probably spend one afternoon or something going. Been to trade shows in the past with my wife for kitchen outfit. Know the routine.
Diane,
You know what?
would you care if we just give Kent permission to go talk to Isaac and see if he can go with that?
No, I have no problem, we will do that. Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Do we have some guidance for him, though, in shows that are coming up? Because I don't have any schedule or anything.
And I don't know if any of our economic development part had, the boards had anything for Marion County Lake, where you could take that with him or not, I don't know.
Because, he's probably gonna say when and where,
Yeah.
We, like you said, maybe we're too late for
And if
Wichita, I don't
if
know.
it's just exactly too late, make the decision.
But I think with Topeka and Salina in the past have had some of that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't know the dates, but I hate to approach him, say, I don't know, you go find out.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I don't know the dates either.
So if someone.
Well, I would think Isaac could research it, the way the weather is, they're not gonna be too.
Well, I mean,
too busy
I
out
can
there
ask him, but
this week.
it'd been nice to have a little guidance for him.
I don't know, is there anything on our economic development screens, or do you know about the Marion County Lake anymore? The ones that.
We can probably Google it.
I'm talking about the ones that take with you, those ones, I don't know if I've seen it on the.
Well, the banner things we put up when we had our booth at the county fair, never made it to the state fair.
They mentioned state fair, but they mentioned nothing about sport boat travel.
They're here somewhere, which is what they used to say.
Yeah.
I'd be glad.
There's a lot of emphasis
I'd be
on
glad
the
to
Chisholm and
contact
Santa
you.
Fe Trail issues we got. I mean, it's getting to be a bigger deal as history goes on to preserve it. A lot of people put effort into
promoting that.
It'd be nice if they, if he would agree to do something like that, he could coordinate with Corps engineers or something out at the reservoir, so.
I think there's a couple phone calls out the lake, there's a couple of people with time on their hands that they would volunteer to
Yeah,
go
I'm
over
sure.
or something.
Yeah, I think there is, but I think Ken's wanting just to make sure that Isaac's ready to prepare and get.
Well, that's
there
where he was
himself.
new enough last year, it was too
Yeah.
quick to have him do anything on that side.
Yeah, I'll give him a call and see
Just a thought,
if you have an interest.
a concern that maybe we ought to still continue some of this that we've done in the past. Go from there. Let me know if you need something.
So, and I have two things. I'll need my credit card, Tina, for the training, please. And I would also just want to mention, in the invocation, although Henry's awesome, but I have to remind the commission that under the National Freedom Association, we're gonna have to not just have the same person all the time, and there are other church entities who are willing to step up and come in. I tried there for a period of time to have the rotation. I know sometimes you can't get anybody. But I'm just reminding that, I know he loves it, and like I say, he does awesome, but we do have to stay within the guidelines of that, because, and then I also just want to ask, did you get the bank statement yet for December for the MCC
No, I
EDC?
don't
You didn't get any more of that yet?
No.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Okay, department head review, so Dietrich.
Is this the executive session?
It will be, yes.
Oh.
I'll have to make that motion and do that.
Oh.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Joan.
What's your recorder?
Why'd you? Oh, gosh.
Oh,
I
will
really
also
would've.
say
I wasn't. for
that it was
that.
wonderful. I know this is selfish and mean, but I didn't get the black eye today. You guys did.